You know when you receive a compliment and you brush it off, reject it, and deny yourself being worthy of it? The same is true for money. If you aren't in a state of knowing that allows you to graciously receive, to acknowledge your worth, and remove your limiting beliefs, you will not be able to hold money. This conversation today is one that might answer a lot of questions for you. It may shine a big bright light on why you've been struggling to get where you want to in life and in business. Kaitlyn Cook is here today, laying out why even those who are earning 6, 7+ figures are seemingly at the top of their game, but still can't hold money and often repel it. We are learning to feel and expect the failures that we're afraid of, and we're rewiring our limiting beliefs surrounding wealth. Let's jump into it with Kaitlyn.
there's there's a depth to it. So I always thought when I get to the seven figures, I'll have everything worked out. I'll be perfect. It will be sunshine and rainbows. And then I was like, nah, it's not like that at all. You've just gotten through some of the fears that kept you under that, and now you're just dealing with more fears in a different
Mhm.
way. And it's I think for me, it was very naive in thinking that the fear just goes away, that,
Mhm.
there's no more resilience to be made, there's no more strength. But it's like, well, actually, it never ends. There is never an actual destination. It's always just continuous growth and expansion. So when you look at it that way, you're like, okay, cool. Well, I can just keep growing and just keep learning, and we're always learning and relearning, and yeah. Very.
Right, that's so true. And I think that's so important for us to hear too, because it isn't like there's this final place you're trying to reach. And if you have that way of thinking, like then when you get there, then what?
Yes, such an such a powerful conversation, that one, because the people I work with, and myself included, because I attract, what I've worked through, but the people that I work through, they're so wanting to run to the next level. Like, I just need to get there. I'm like,
Mhm.
but why? Why do you
Mhm.
need to get there? And it will be because they don't want to feel the way they're feeling. And I'll go, well, how are you feeling right now? And like that I'm behind, that I'm not doing
Mhm.
it right, that I need to do it better. And so if you're running from that, you're running with it. It will not go away. So even at the next level, you're going to feel like you have to get to the next level. Then all of a sudden you're burnt out, you're exhausted, you're feeling like you're not doing enough. So it's really about taking a moment and going, you're trying things, some's working, some's not. You're allowed to get to the next level and the next level and the next level. But there's so many different ways that you can get there. You can either run from something or run towards something. And when you run towards something, it's a lot more expansive. You build a lot more resilience, as opposed to running from something, you're exhausted. You can't keep up, you can't catch up, you can't keep up. And then people are just like, oh, I don't know why it's just not working. I'm like, because energetically, you're tapped out. Just let go of it and then go again.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be so juicy today. I can't wait to dig into this with you. So, before we get too much farther ahead, let me just introduce you. We are here today with Kaitlyn Cook, a top 1% business strategist and the creator of Align to Rise, a transformational method that helps women entrepreneurs scale their service-based businesses with clarity, confidence, and ease, which I think really is just oozing from everything that you just shared so far. And every owner, every entrepreneur, every podcaster, probably every human, like really can benefit from these things that you're sharing. So, yeah, just welcome and thank you so much for being here.
You so much, Sarah. I'm really excited about this. Even like when we had our little conversation before, we have such a powerful conversation already. So it's going to be really
Mhm.
exciting for your listeners to hear what it is that we can help them with today. So it's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Um, and I think one thing that we tend to forget when we're talking about people such as yourself who are in the 6, 7+ figure space and helping others to do the same, we forget about the very humble beginnings of
Mhm.
how we started and that idea of it doesn't matter if it's $1 or $100 million. Like we're all in the thick of things. But talk to us a little bit about how you started on this journey, because I find it really interesting that you started your journey and were already successful outside of the online space.
Very much so, yes. So how I started my business was purely from necessity in 2019 because my visa in the UK had expired. I'm Australian. My now English fiance, he lives in, the UK. And so we decided to travel Southeast Asia for a year instead of pay $7,500 to be in each other's countries.
Mm.
So we had to find work online. And I was like, okay, what do I do? So I opened my laptop. I'm like, what can I do to make money online? So for me at that stage, money meant time. So I wanted money purely to spend more time with Tom. That was our goal. So money meant time. So I was like, cool, we have 3 weeks worth of time left where we are. We need to find more time, so let's make more money. Um, so the way that that ended up happening for me is so I first started, I decided, you know what, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to start a blogging business and social media travel because, I'm traveling Southeast Asia, I'll do that. And I came to realize at that time I didn't like social media. I didn't want to take photos all the time for other people online. I just wanted to take them for me and to travel. So that business failed very quickly. And then I was like, what can I actually do? And so I wrote down all the things I can actually do. And I was like, well, I can do business and I can do finance. And so I just did that. But I went where people were actively looking for my services. Instead of me building a community, building a following, I just literally went where the work was. So I went on a platform called Upwork. And because that was the platform I utilized at the time, people just found me on there. And it's one of the world's largest marketplaces for freelancers and agencies. I'm now a top 1% expert, but I wasn't always on there. And so if you Google business strategist, I'll come up on the top of Google. So I made 7 figures in my business through that. And then this year, something shifted in me. Like, I want to show up. I want to show up differently. I want to go where I'm scared, go where there's resistance. And that meant website and social media. And so I'm in the realm now of that. And I'm loving it. I'm like a beginner again. It's really exciting. And that's what I was saying before. You'll never hit it and go, I'm the best at everything because there's so much to learn. So I'm now a learner and a beginner in the social media space, and I'm failing and trying again and having a laugh and making bloopers. And yeah, it's quite a journey.
The best thing about all of that, I feel like, that really stands out to me is that you're able to laugh about those failures and create bloopers, whether it's literally or just like in your mind. Because there's so many people that are afraid to fail. It's like you fail at one thing and you're like, forget it, I can't do it. I'm just going to go clock in again. And that's, I think, the detriment of everybody's gifts and passions and way of being of service, when they just are afraid to fail. Because most of us that are in entrepreneur spaces or business owners, like we expect to fail.
Yeah.
It's part of it, but it doesn't mean it's easy, but
Mm.
it's part of it, right? So the ability to chuck to the side what's not working and move on to something else and be okay with that and not internalize that as like you being a failure, I
Yeah.
think is so important.
Oh, and I think, yeah, I love that you said that. So for me, I'm a strategist, a consultant, and a coach. And I'm leaning more into the aspect because I need to lead to show my clients where to go, which means I have to be uncomfortable. I have to fail forward. I have to laugh at my mistakes because I don't want them to be down and out and miserable. And in the first year of my business, I created, and this is coming from one, I had spent years and years and years helping people build businesses. I was a top 2 strategist in Australia. So I knew the strategy to grow a business. And the first year of my own business, I was like, I'm going to create a strategy where I don't feel fear and I do not fail. And by the end of that year, I made 12 grand.
I love the way you just giggled at yourself.
Like, come on, like that in itself is failure.
Yeah.
So I realized that by me not feeling fear, by me not failing, I was already failing because I was coming at it from the energy of I don't want this to fail. So everything was failing instead of I'm just going to give it my best and see what happens. And then I gave it my best and it was a little bit okay. And then I tried again. But I was petrified of the fear of failure until I really solidified who do I have to be a seven-figure business owner? Like, who is that? And then I read autobiographies from very successful entrepreneurs, and every single one had failed. I'm like, right, I can't bypass this anymore. It's something I just have to go towards head first. And if little by little, I held myself through it, and now I'm just like, oh my God, I totally failed on that, and I failed on that, and this was horrible, but anyway, I learned.
Right. Well, I mean, we live in a world that frowns upon failure, right?
Mm,
And we're told that from the time we are kids. There's an underlying, I think, message that, it's okay if you fall, get up and try again. But there's still that message kind of hovering over it all of failure is bad. And to be able to use it as a tool instead of something that just snuffs out your flame,
mm,
to use it as fuel to the fire, I
mm.
think is such a valuable life skill, for sure, business skill, but life skill.
Yeah, I did a post on this actually the other week on LinkedIn, and I pondered the question like, how many times have you failed? And I said, more times than I've succeeded. And how
Mhm.
many times have you succeeded? More times than I've failed. And it's
Mhm.
about your point of view, your perspective on it.
Mhm.
There is a duality in business. You can never succeed unless you've failed. Because to fail means you've tried something you've never done before. And you're never going to be great the first time you do something you've never done before. Because
Mhm.
failure, or fail is an acronym of first attempt in learning. Everyone can learn. That's all you're trying to do is just learn something new. And the greatest skill you can ever learn in business is the resilience to get back up emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically. Just get back up. I used to do pitch decks for people because I used to be a financial investor at the bank. And I had a 99% success rate of the pitch decks I did. And everyone's like, how do you do it? Oh my God, you must be great at this. And I said, you just go until somebody says yes. You never
Mhm.
stop. That's the only, like, you just keep going and you will get a yes. Doesn't matter how long it's going to take, but if you want a yes, just keep going, and that's how you get it.
Mhm.
But it's in the moments of how do you keep going? You build that resilience to go, cool, that failed. I'm okay. What do I need? How can I support myself? And just keep going. Because the
Mhm.
more you do that, the more you're further along than anybody else because the majority of people will just stay down and not get back
Right.
up.
Well, and talk to us about the imposter syndrome that is intertwined with that failure mentality. I feel like that's something that is even more to our detriment than the idea of failing at something, is thinking that we're not even good enough to try.
Mm. So there's a depth of imposter syndrome, and it's been with me throughout my entire journey. So because I started in my business already successful at this, but not in my own business, I expected a lot from myself. But I didn't know the caliber of actually what it took to grow your own business. And so I expected myself not to fail and all that. So the imposter syndrome is really, really loud. And I've found throughout this journey, this is 6 years in now, that for me, when imposter syndrome comes up, it's a it's the opportunity for me to solidify a new identity. Because when we're growing a business, we're wanting to grow something we've never grown before or done before, which means we need to learn a new skill. We need to become slightly different. So there's a push and a pull. There's the identity of the one who's never done it and the person who you're hoping you can do it one day. And when imposter syndrome is loud, you're on the precipice of something great. So I take it as my opportunity now to be like, oh my God, I'm breaking free. And so instead of me resisting and going, I shouldn't do this, I actually welcome it. So I learned this from Rhonda Burns, who does The Secret. And I imagine myself welcoming that imposter syndrome and just going, you can be here, like you're allowed to be here, but you're not driving this bus. Because this bus is being driven by me and we're going a different direction. So if you were going to drive the bus, we'd be going back down to the couch, we'd be having some chicken wings, we'd be watching a movie, but no, that's not needed right now. We're going to go here. So it's just reframing that story. And when it when it starts to be loud in your mind and loud in your body, it's not a moment to panic and go, oh my God, I'm doing it wrong. It's like, wow, I'm really changing because my body feels really different right now. There's a lot going on right now because there's a lot of growth happening, and I'm the person who can hold this. Because if you want to hold more money, you want to hold more ease, more joy, you also need to be able to be the person who can hold that imposter syndrome that pops in every now and then, the fear that arises. You don't just get one without the other. So it's the opportunity to sit into that and go, I'm just expanding in a different way.
Well, that's so much. I feel like you're talking directly to me right now, and there's nobody else listening in the room. Um, yeah, because you can't just ignore the fear inside yourself. It is, like you said, an opportunity to lean in closer instead of farther away. Let it whisper to you and, acknowledge what it's saying, but then just remind it, like, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be better than okay. Um, so just come along with me. You can stay, but you can't stop me.
Yeah, you're not going to drive, you're not the one who's going to dictate where we go.
Hmm.
But it's just, there's always, and the depth of the work that I do, I absolutely love because the more I learn about it, the more I teach about it. And so to me, it's very much the identity piece. And the
Hmm.
identity piece isn't waking up one day and going, I'm courageous, I'm fearless, I'm fantastic. It's in the moments when imposter syndrome is loud that you choose that moment to be courageous and continue even though it's loud because
Hmm.
you're solidifying that new identity of the person who can, the person who walks that new path that you've never walked before. Um, it's just, yeah, tiny little moments of courage every now and then. And before you know it, you'll be a little bit more courageous. You go, oh, this was okay. Let's try it again.
Yeah. Well, and let's talk about those fears and imposter syndromes as they pertain to not just doing the thing, but money that comes from the thing and how we get so wrapped up in feeling unsafe when money comes, maybe feeling unworthy of it, and so much so that we're not able to retain it or hold it.
Hmm. This is the big one. I love talking about this because I've just realized all this. So I'm like, let's talk about it. This is amazing. So you will have heard like money mindset, shift your money blocks and everything, you make more money. So yes, it's definitely a layer of it. So, we're wired between the ages of 0 to 7 from our parents, caregivers, teachers, TV, radio, all that stuff. And so that created the foundation of how we see the world, how we view money, how we receive money, how we feel safe or not safe with it. And through all of that stories and the way that we see the world, our brain's there to show us the ways that we're right. And I mean right in what we believe. So if we believe it's hard to make money, our brain will show us all the ways it's hard to make money. And that solidifies in our nervous system, which reacts. So if, for example, you believe it's unsafe to have large sums of money, your nervous system will freak out when you have large sums of money subconsciously. So you will find a way to repel it. You will find a way to spend it. you'll find a way to get rid of it without realizing it consciously as soon as you can, because it feels so different from what's actually wired in your body. So the women I tend to work with, they come to me because they're like, right, I'm pretty good at what I do. Like, I'm an expert in my field, definitely have imposter syndrome, people pleasing is there as well. Yep. So they're doing well, they're making good money, but they're spending all the money. And so that is the pattern of they don't feel safe holding it. And what's interesting is people are just like, oh, I just need a better budget. I just need to do this. But it's like, but no, like there's a duality with it. So when we start to do the nervous system work, which is literally just feeling calm amongst something new, allowing yourself when you start to freak out or start to go, oh my God, I can't have this, is it? And then you start to say all the reasons why you can't do this. That's when you allow yourself to calm, to take deep breaths, do EFT tapping, do some journaling, figure out what's going on in your head. You're rewiring your nervous system and your brain to know that it's safe to hold more money. And when you believe it's safe to hold more money, you will attract more money, because our nervous system is connected to obviously the thoughts we have and the emotions we feel. But we have what's called a reticular activating system in our brain. And this is the way in which we see our world, not the world, our world. And that we absorb millions of pieces of data a minute. But if we've constantly told ourselves the story of it's unsafe to have money, it's really hard to make money in business, no one's going to pay for my services, your brain thinks it's important because you've said it over and over and over again. So your brain's going to go, okay, so you're right, because this is the way you're right, this is the way you're right, this is the way you're right. So people don't pay you, you don't find clients, nothing tends to move in your business. But when you start changing the narrative and start calming your nervous system, because it's going to feel triggered because there's something new, your brain then starts to look at something different because you've said it's important, because you've repeated it. So then all of a sudden you start to see clients easier, start to attract clients easier. People pay for your services. You're like, it's like magic, but it's not. It's just you working with the script that's been wired in your body and choosing a new script.
So powerful, Kaitlyn. I mean, I think that it's really underestimated um, how important it is to listen, how important it is to talk to ourselves in an uplifting, empowering, positive voice, and just the detriment that happens to our lives when we don't. And I would say it's much more powerful than even everybody outside of you telling you those same things. It doesn't really matter if you're not telling yourself those things too.
No, not at all. Because what I've come to realize through all of this, because I've had a lot of rewiring to do and still do. Like, there's so much I'm continuously doing. Is I never understood why when somebody would say to me, but you're successful, or but you have it easy, but you've got all of this, my brain would immediately go, but no, you don't. No, you don't. So I would always be saying no. I'd be repelling that information. I wouldn't be absorbing it. It's the exact same with money. If you're like, because money is the same as a compliment. If somebody gives you a compliment, you repel it. You're doing the same with money. It's so
Mhm.
cool when you like connect that. And it wasn't until I realized, more and more about our brain and how when we're in an analytical state, so we're in a conscious, action-heavy state, we don't absorb information because we're exerting energy in that state. So if I'm in an action mode, someone's like, oh, you're awesome. I'm like, no, I'm not, no, I'm not, because I'm analytical in that stage. So that what's really powerful for that, and this is why I really practice for myself, meditation, journaling a lot, because I need to figure out what's going on under the surface. When you get into more of a calm state where it's just you and you have just some quiet, whether it's a minute, 5 minutes, doesn't matter, but the point is you just do it. You shift your brain from the action, the repeat, gotta do, and more into the reflective state. When you're in a reflective state, you're in what's called theta brainwave state, which is where you can rewire your subconscious beliefs. You can change the narrative very easily, but you need to know what the narrative is. And the way you know what the narrative is by journaling out, here's my goal. I want to make this amount of money. then immediately after, what's going to happen is your brain's going to tell you all the ways why you cannot do that. They're called your limiting beliefs. That's basically the steps that's holding you away from what it is you ultimately want. So your job is to remove those limiting beliefs. Every moment you hear them in your head, every time you write down your goal, work through it one by one. And before you know it, you'll have removed them and the goal is there, and you'll have thought of the idea to attract the amount of money you want, or you'll have done the action step in order to do it.
Caitlin, that's perhaps the most easily understood and straightforward way that that has ever been described to me.
Mm.
Um, on how to get past and rewire what your thoughts are. That was that was so incredibly helpful. I can't even tell you. Like it's just right there. There it is. I feel like we and maybe it's at a time when you're willing to hear something in a different way than what you did before, right? Or you absorb it differently. It's like the idea of you watched a movie as a kid and understand it entirely differently as an adult kind of thing.
Yeah.
But really and truly, the way you just described that is something that feels so doable. Like everybody can, for the most part, sit down,
Mm.
pencil and paper, and journal. Everybody can find time to sit and be still in some thought of meditation, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is. Like we can all do that. That's all within our reach. When you really want to just start understanding what you are believing are your limitations, it's like pen and paper, and that's it.
Yeah. And I think that is the most powerful way to start, because unless you're willing to take action on putting pen to paper, what
Hmm.
makes you think you're going to take action in what it's going to take to attract the money to get what it is you want?
Hmm.
Pen to paper is an action, and
Right.
it starts by getting clear on what is stopping you from what it is you want. And it is the most powerful practice. And obviously there's depths and layers to all of this, but fundamentally, from a very simplistic standpoint, how much money do you want to make? Like, how much money do you want right now? What is the figure that you want? And then write down every single reason your brain's telling you can't have it, because they're your subconscious stories. And that's what your nervous system is wired to. So every time they come up, disprove them. That's what your brain's asking you to do.
Hmm.
Just ask yourself, is this ultimately true? And the thing is, they're never ultimately true, because you get to decide what you want to think and believe. So you just go, no, it's not ultimately true. Cool. What could be more true? Well, it could be more true that I'm learning to allow money easily. It could be more true that some people make money easy, so I guess I can try to do the same. And you just
Hmm.
keep checking in and doing it moment by moment. I did this activity. I do this all the time, but I remember one moment I did it. And I was like, I want to make 40K. I want to make 40,000 pounds as quick as it'll happen. Just want to make 40,000 pounds. And I did that every morning. I woke up and just wrote down 40,000 pounds and everything that came up underneath it. And after a week, I remember the day I woke up and I wrote it down and nothing came, like no limiting belief came in my head. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And later that day, I had an idea to message a client and say, do you want to switch to this package and I can give you this value and this update? And he goes, yeah, sure. And by the end of the day, it was 40,000 difference. And I was like, huh, okay, that's cool. Let's keep going.
Right. It just, you made it that simple for yourself, but it felt so hard initially and it felt so out of reach.
Yeah. And that's why I always do the two sets of work, the internal with the external, because honestly, the strategy to make money is not hard, but it's the resistance. It's the reasons we tell ourselves we are not the person to do it. It's the
Mhm.
fear. It's us who stops ourselves. So unless you're willing to shift yourself, your thoughts, nothing will change because you haven't changed. But if you're willing to change, then things in your life start to change. And you can control what changes because you can just get clear on what you want.
That's so powerful and so straightforward. Again, like we complicate it so much. Talk to us a little bit about freedom that comes from not just money, but choosing differently.
Mm. So there's a desire. So when it comes to money, if you need, there's a need, isn't there? There's a need element. I need this amount of money. Like, and you're in survival. When you've got the need, taken care of, then we're talking into the freedom realms of the want, the desire. And that's where it's like, how can I show up today that's going to transform somebody's life for the better? How can I add joy to somebody's life just a little bit more today? Because obviously, what you send out is what you get back. But it's
Hmm.
not in the element of I need them to buy from me. You have to buy
Right.
from me. It's how can I make you smile today? How can I make you feel just a little bit better? But it's also like the work that I do, it's how can I deepen my practice? And, how can I sit with the discomfort of the feelings of expanding into more of desire to allow my clients to understand what it feels like and what's going to come up? So for me, money's always been important, but it's been important for the time that it gives me. And now the time I choose, what I choose to do in the time is more important. So how I feel in the time, in the moments, how I show up. When my son comes home from school, I go downstairs and I give him the biggest hug and then we play. It's those tiny moments that mean more to me than anything else. That's how I'm choosing to spend my life now at this
I
time.
love that.
Mm.
Love that so much. The way that we view freedom and wealth. Like there's five layers of wealth. I've read that mindset approach to just living life in general, and certainly as it pertains to business. And I remember somebody talking about how wealth to me is um, being able to, take my son to the pool at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday. Like that's what that equates to. And getting to the point where that is an option for you and that is possible, comes from removing the limiting beliefs about money. Because
And
as much as, yeah, as much as we want to say that money isn't everything, it's damn helpful.
mm, but what I would, so I see the expansion on it as well, and something I think will be really helpful and powerful for the listeners is when I was like, I need to make more money, and I hadn't dealt with my money stuff at all. I was just like, if I need to make more money. When I have more money, my money problems will be solved. The
Mhm.
thing is, money amplifies us.
Yeah.
It magnifies where we are, not from a tangibility standpoint, although it does, but I'm talking more the emotional state. If
Hmm.
you're if you're in the lack with money, if your habit is anxious, paying bills, anxious with money, because money as a whole is just money.
Hmm.
So if you're anxious about bills, you're anxious about money. If you're anxious about paying your team, you're anxious about money. But if you're guilty, if you're fearing it, and then you get more of it, you're going to feel more of that guilt, more of that fear. So until you actually rewire how you feel about money, money will always be the same pattern in your life because your pattern emotionally is to repel it, is to not like it, is to try and get rid of it as soon as possible. So it's really shifting how you feel about it so you can grow more and more of it. And then, because money will come through business, it comes through all different ways. And then the way you feel about yourself will change. The way you feel about your business will change because
Hmm.
you're intentionally changing a big component in your life and how you feel towards it. It's exact same if you had a partner and you guys spent all your time arguing and being annoying and like, go away from me, now come back, I need you, now go away, now come back, I need you. It's a huge
Mm.
part of your mental space taken up. But if you just choose to reframe it and change the conversation slightly, that will change, which will change how you show up in the day and how you feel. Because a big part of your life feels better because you took the time to change the conversation and how you felt about it.
Right. Right. That's so true. I love that analogy you shared about, just the partner situation of like needing versus not, and the same way that we apply that to money. And would you say it's true that it's not about the amount necessarily that somebody has? I feel like there is some uh, misconception in regards to you have to, have hundreds of thousands of dollars or $1 million to be satisfied, right? But I think we find the joy in life and the wealth in life in general as well when that number is much smaller, but we have a healthy money belief system. It's not necessarily about the amount so much as how we feel, what emotions we're attaching versus not, and how we're just thinking about it every day.
Yeah, so with this, I believe that all women should be self-made millionaires. That's like my thing. I want all women to be self-made millionaires because I think more money in the hands of good-hearted women, the world is going to be a really, really, really kind, amazing place. But when you get a certain amount of money, unless you've changed how you feel, and if fulfillment and satisfaction is your goal, that is a habit. If you're not willing to change the habit today, chances are you're not willing to change it when you get the money. And what will happen is when you get the money, you'll feel satisfied and fulfilled for a few days, and then it will be fleeting. So it's never long, it's never sustainable.
Mhm.
So I do believe that you can have as much money as you can truly dream about, but it starts with changing how you view and see money now. And if your ultimate goal, so majority of people who work with me want freedom. So I will ask them, what does freedom mean to you? Like, give me the tangibility of freedom. I want to, how does it make you feel? How do you show up? What's your day like? Like that. And we can conceptualize that. So they have an anchor point to move towards. So
Mhm.
it's like, right, if freedom means detaching from your emotional habits of fight or flee mode of I can't do this, I can do this, I can't do this, like the self-doubt, it's like let's rewire that. So I believe you can do both. And I believe both is the more powerful than the first. Don't just expect the money to come in and you'll be all good and gravy because you have programs and scripts from decades of your life telling you why you shouldn't have this amount of money. And unless you address them, it's always going to be playing in the background. So you need to address how you're feeling, how you think about
Mhm.
it, how fulfilled you feel, and the money comes more easily, more effortlessly. You hold more of it, you allow more of it, you feel safer with more of it. I've worked with a nine-figure entrepreneur who was bored, to be honest. He was so bored. He was like, oh my God. I'm like, what? What's going on? He's like, I just want to feel fulfilled in my life. And
Mhm.
like money doesn't necessarily give you fulfillment unless you know what it is that you want. And then I worked with an eight-figure entrepreneur and he was miserable. Absolutely. He was caged in to the business he'd created because there was no fulfillment in it for him. And
Mhm.
I've worked with people at five and six figures who just love everything they do. And they feel like millionaires because what they get to do every day just lights their soul on fire.
Mhm.
So money is just a number, but how do you actually want to feel in your life around money, around your
Mhm.
business, around people? Work on that. Don't just expect the money to solve your problems because it won't, because you're still that person who's got the problem, but you've also got the
Mhm.
solution.
Right. Warren Buffett recently, well, whether it was recent or not, I don't know, but Warren Buffett had said um, he would trade away his entire fortune for the ability to gain more time. And when you ask somebody much younger than him, somebody like you or I, if we would trade our time for the fortune that he has, most of us would say no, knowing that Warren Buffett is 95 years old, I think, and how little time you'd have to enjoy said fortune, right? But the wealth that is time, and the freedom that comes with knowing you have time,
Mm.
I think is really valuable. And when you can couple tangible financial wealth with the wealth of time, I feel like that's the golden ticket in life.
Yeah, I think it does start with you believing you're allowed to be the person who can have that. With
Mhm.
women, particularly, there's a permission sector where with men it's different. Men are more protectors. they go out, they fend, they come back, they protect. So if you give them what it is they need to get, they'll go and do it. Where women are more dreamers, we're more talkers, we're more the community based. But women, as soon as you ask, like, as soon as I ask a woman, what do you want? What do you want? It's always about her family, her friends, her community. Like she cares so deeply about her children, she cares about her partner, she cares about her community and the people she's impacting with her business that she actually forgets what that looks like for her. And so that's why my work is so powerful because I'm giving her that space to go, what do you want? And so many women go, oh, I can't say it. And you're like, just do it. And they do. And as soon as they say it, their posture changes. There's a twinkle in their eye because there's this, they realize they can have it both. They can have what they want whilst doubling down, expanding the impact, the love, the joy they're giving to everybody, and also make a lot of money doing it that serves them, that's aligned with their values. It's not one or the other. It's not this or that. It's you do get to have what you desire. You just need to be willing to confront the limiting beliefs that are saying that you can't. And it's just a daily practice. Write down what you want, what's coming up. Let's rewrite it. Cool. And they pop up again. Let's rewrite them again. That's how you rewire the thoughts. And it is the most powerful and beautiful thing when you take ownership of your entire life and realize things happen to you in your life that you couldn't control, that wasn't your responsibility, that sometimes wasn't, a lot of times wasn't your fault. Sometimes things happen to you that you really didn't deserve. But when you're an adult, you have the responsibility now to choose. Do you let those stories define the life you're going to keep having? Or do you decide this is the moment that you're like, you know what? I'm going all in. I'm going all in on my life. I'm going to just do what it is that I desire to do because I have one life. I have one moment in time to make a courageous decision and then see how much everything around you just starts to light up because you've decided that you're going to bet on you.
That's just gorgeous, Kaitlyn. You're going to decide you're going to bet on you. I just love that so much. You've mentioned a couple times your clients and working with different people. I would love for you to share with us about how it is that you connect with people and help them move past these types of limiting beliefs. Talk to us about your coaching and the work that you do.
So, because I've been doing business and finance for 20 years and the mindset, the energetics, the nervous system for 6 years, I have a pretty good know of what's going on with somebody. So, if a woman comes to me and goes, I need a lead generation strategy, I will go, no, you don't. You need to feel safe being seen.
Oh my God, I love that.
And she'll go, no, no, no. I've worked with a few people and this is my lead generation. I'm like, yeah, it hasn't worked though, has it? She's like, no, it's not working. I'm like, it's not working because you're scared to be seen. And that's okay. It's normal. So we just need to do X, Y, and Z and it will be okay. And it's a really beautiful thing to walk people through and other people will be like, I want to 4 times my revenue. And you're like, cool, you need to be the woman to be able to start feeling her emotions. And she's like, haha, I haven't done that. And I'm like, I know, but you're going to learn how to because energy, so emotions is energy in motion and money is energy. Everything is just responding to us. So if we want to make more money, we have to learn to flow with our emotions instead of just tap it off and go, can't feel this, got to think through it. If I just work harder, I will make myself feel better. But you can't think through an emotion, you have to feel through an emotion. And if you want, so the women, they like to quantum leap. I like to quantum leap in my revenue. I like to do some stuff that's like so unheard of, and you're like, "Boing." But in order to do that, you have to be able to be the woman who can hold how she's feeling, who can process how she's feeling, who can expand. And when you're expanding, a lot of people go, it's all sunshine and rainbows, but they don't talk about the expansion of fear, the expansion of imposter syndrome. They're all there. They're always going to be there. They're part of you. We're humans. We have every emotion under the sun. You don't just earn all this money and then go, cool, life's fantastic, life happens. So the thing is, if ever a woman's like, I really want to quantum leap my money, I'm like, you've got to learn to feel your emotions. And then the work becomes, how do you actually feel an emotion? Because a lot of us in my generation at least have not learned how to feel an emotion. They've learned how to think an emotion but not feel it. So when we do that, and especially if people are stuck, if you're stuck, it's because you're stuck. You don't know who you're trying to become. You've got everybody else's shoulds, everybody else's expectations, and you're wrapped up there somehow. You don't know what it is. So I fundamentally unearth everything that's stopping them internally, shift through their limiting beliefs, help them become the woman who has it, and give them the very simple strategy of how they can quantum leap whilst supporting them to keep making new decisions instead of repeating the patterns. Because we are the ones who get in our own way, and I help show them a new way that they can achieve this and simplify the hell out of their business. Because I literally got to 7 figures on one platform and word of mouth. I had nothing. Like, I had no social media, no website, nothing. And I just learned how to rewire my beliefs so I could start seeing my world a bit differently, how to feel safe feeling emotions and not repel all the money, how to make more money, but then I then spent a lot of money. So then I learned how to hold money and earn money and all this stuff. So that's what I teach women how to do. I show them the very simple way to achieve what it is they want, give them the roadmap so they can see it. And then I teach them how to change ever so slightly to become the woman who can hold it and then dream even bigger again.
Well, you're definitely offering something that I feel like I do not see anywhere else in the line of work that you do. There is touches on mindset work or mastering your mindset, but this is a totally different, deeper dive into what you're talking about. How do you feel an emotion versus just thinking about an emotion? What does that
Mm.
mean to you?
I like that question. So when we think an emotion, this is what it looks like. Hmm, I'm feeling a bit uneasy. Oh, okay. What do I need to fix this? If I'm just going to work a little bit harder, if I just work a little bit more, it's going to go. It's just going to go. And then, or I'm going to eat something, or I'm going to watch something, and I'm going to numb it.
Mm.
That's you thinking an emotion. You feeling an emotion is going, oh, I have a big sensation in my body right now. I'm just going to take some 3 deep breaths, and I'm just going to notice where my body I'm feeling it. And then I'm just going to breathe into it. I'm not going to run from it, because if I run from it, I run from everything, because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So I'm just going to breathe into the area of my body that's having that emotion and just welcome it, allow it to be there. And it actually takes 90 seconds to process an emotion. I can be with myself for 90 seconds. And then as you do that, it starts to, there's like a microsecond where it gets a little bit loud and then it just goes, whew. And then it just starts to fall back down. You're like, okay, I feel good now. Cool. All right, I'll go back to work. And then, oh, came back again. Cool, I'm going to do that again. You process it. The more I've learned to do this, the more money's just come so goddamn easily. Because I've stopped pushing. Because what happens is when you push an emotion away, you try to fix it, you try to work it away. That's not how you receive. You receive by feeling, because you receive an emotion through your body. That's what's going on. So when you want to receive more money, we open up the channels of receiving by just feeling it, so you know that it's safe to feel. And when you process it and you allow yourself to be with that emotion for 90 seconds, you can also hold on to money more, because you feel safe being able to hold on. If you stop and if you go, oh, I'm feeling something, I can't feel something, that's not okay, I shouldn't feel that, I'm feeling a bit guilty about feeling that, why should I feel that? But I've got this, and then you start to feel sad, and then you feel guilty, and then you feel horrible about feeling all these things. You're not processing anything. You're just thinking over and over and over again about all the ways you feel wrong about having an emotion. So if you just stop and you just breathe and you just feel it in your body without thinking about it, just feel it in your body. You're not there to fix it. You can't fix an emotion, you have to feel it. If you just feel it, you're training your nervous system that it's okay and it's safe to feel. If you never teach your nervous system it's safe to feel, when you make more money, when you want more joy, more satisfaction, more fulfillment, you're not going to be able to hold it because you don't know how to feel. You don't know how to feel safe. So you're always going to repel it and find a reason why it's not going to work for you.
I'm just entranced by everything that you're sharing. This has just been so enlightening, this conversation for me for sure, and I know for our listeners as well. It's necessary for just everybody to hear what you're talking about. One other thing that I think that we feel like we have to do as women for sure, probably just as society, but the idea that you have to like trade your health, your time, your family, your life in order to get to a place where you can receive whatever receiving is, whatever that form of wealth is. Talk to us a little bit about how it isn't sacrificial necessarily.
No, but there is a story that has to be rewritten if you decide that you want it all. And so if you're willing to rewrite that story, it's going to come up to the surface of your life in a loud way, which means it's ready to be rewritten. So after I had my son Alfie, I wanted to hit six figures in my business. I wanted to make money so we could fly back to the UK in business class and I could spend time with him. I just wanted to be that. There were so many whys behind it.
Mhm.
But I kept feeling such a push-pull in my body. And there was this story, and so I journaled and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I was like, I can't have a loving relationship and be a mother to a healthy, beautiful baby boy and be a successful businesswoman. It's too much. This is what I mean by it's too much to hold because I wasn't processing my emotions. I didn't know how to hold more. So it felt like I was limited. So I was like, oh man, I have to choose. And then I was like, wait a minute, but do I need to choose? Well, no, I get to choose what I decide. So I was like, well, actually, I do want to hold it all. Do want to be able to have a business that grows with me. I want to have continue to have time with my son and be with my partner. So what does that mean? That means I need to be clear on my boundaries. That means I need to know what I'm a yes for, what I'm a no for. But I also need to learn how to hold more and feel safe holding more. So this period of shifting was only my own personal story of it. It's not everyone's is the same. But this shift of the woman I was to the woman I was becoming who could hold it all, I cried a lot. I was also postpartum, like, but I held a lot. I cried a lot. I got so intentional with the words I used because I was mourning an identity I didn't even want. I was mourning this life of, you'll just be a good girl and you'll just get married and the man will be a breadwinner. I'm like, God, no, I don't want a man to be a breadwinner. I always want to be the woman who can have a very successful business. That's always been my dream. So I mourned this old identity. I welcomed in this new identity of the woman who could have it all, who also allowed herself to feel lots of emotions, which she had numbed for a long time. And then through that, I got clear, like every time Tom would say, should we go for a walk or should we go to the beach? Which meant it was a one or the other scenario, which was always the story in my head. You only had one or the other, you never had both. And I wanted to be the woman who could have both. So every time somebody gave me the one or the other, I would go, well, actually, let's go for a walk on the beach. So instead of one or the other, it was how do we merge both? Because when I could start saying it with my words and you'd be courageous enough to say it out loud, I started to think it more and more. My nervous system started to get comfortable and felt safe, being able to hold more, allow more. And I rewrote that story. And that's all it is. It's just a story that's been playing on in the background, and it's it's outdated now. You can rewrite the script. Not like there's nothing wrong if you want to be an incredible mom and be taken care of. By all means, do that. Be the woman who can do that. If you want be the woman who can do other things, do that. You always get to choose, and this is why the question's so powerful. What do you want? Not what should you want? Not what do people expect of you? What do you actually want? And there'll be some people who may be upset by your decision, but it's none of their business but yours.
Mhm. There's so much truth to that, and um, so much for all of us to work through in those shoulds and the expectations or what is feeling obligatory in our lives. Getting past that, that's part of doing the work of that rewiring to move past what has been just kind of holding too tightly on our lives. This has been just phenomenal, Kaitlyn. Um, you gotta need to tell us how we can have more of you. Where can people find you outside of this space?
So you can actually visit my now published website. So it's kaitlyncook.co. So Kaitlyn spelled with a K. Nobody spells my name right. So it's Kaitlyn cook.co, or the same for Instagram. And I'm also active on YouTube because I love giving people the tools to grow and start businesses. So you can find me at Grow with Kaitlyn on YouTube as well.
I love that. And yeah, all these ways to stay connected with you will for sure be in the show notes a click away. So it'll be easy to find you in that regard. Kaitlyn, if you could leave us thinking about something today as we close our conversation, what would it be?
Mm. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. So the question then becomes, what is it that you want? What are you willing to let go of? And who are you ready to become in order to achieve what it is you ultimately desire?
Well, I have to tell you, there are not many of my own platform conversations that I listen to on repeat over and over again. Um, but this will be one of them for sure. I'll go back to this conversation many times over and lean into all the amazing things that you shared here today. So thank you for just everything you poured out and just for everything you're doing.
Thank you. And thank you for being an incredible host and giving me the opportunity to feel safe in a space to express what's needed. And this was a really lovely conversation. I feel it in my heart today, actually. Yeah, it's really lovely. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad you felt safe and comfortable to share here. It's just been so impactful. So I appreciate you very much.
I appreciate you too.
So I've always been of the belief that the main thing that gets in your way in life is yourself. This conversation reminded me of that today. How we experience life has everything to do with the way we think about things. Money, of course, is no different. It's like the old quote, whether you believe you can or you cannot, you are correct. Whether you believe money is easy to attract or you believe it's scarce, you are correct. Our thoughts are powerful and literally shape our reality. Kaitlyn offers amazing courses and coaching that can help you reach the place in life you've been dreaming about. Find the links and connect with her in the show notes. Help us keep more conversations like this one coming by following or subscribing to the podcast. Join the email list and receive occasional updates on all happenings of this space. Rate and review and leave a comment. Thanks for sharing your time today. We'll see you soon.